We got Carlos Silva, the starting pitcher for the Venezuelan team. In his first game up in Toronto, he went 4 innings, 6 hits, no runs. Got the Venezuelans on the win column. Last year he's had a little bit of elbow issue in August, September. Didn't have a good year with Seattle. He ended up going 4-15, but this would be a big game for the Venezuelan team for him to have a good start.
Well, it is a big game for him, but also it's a big season, and I think you hit the nail on the head. He struggled last year, had some injury problems. He looks like he's in better health. The key to him is that sinker. He has to get the ball down, and he's got a great defense behind him. If he does that, he should fare well against this offense if he throws his game.
Well, when he was with Philadelphia, Larry Anderson, broadcaster and pitching coach and pitcher, said, what's his strikeout pitch? He said a ground ball. You're exactly right, Harold. He is a ground ball specialist and throws a lot of strikes.
So does that mean you're our pitching coach, broadcaster and pitching coach?
We will defer to Al Leiter on all things pitching for the next 8 hours. We'll be here not only for this one, but for the second end of this double dip that will start at 8 p.m. Eastern, the U.S. taking on Puerto Rico. The first game in the second pool here in Miami is underway. Eugene Kingsale pops up a bunt. Low-hanging fruit for Miguel Cabrera, and there's one gone to start the afternoon for Silva.
Well, the first pitch of the game, you never really like to bunt. You think that opportunity may not be there, but he's thought about this long and hard. He just popped it up. He had the right direction and angle that he wanted to go in, but did not put it down.
Well, and that's probably going to be the tempo that we'll see with this Netherlands team. They we said 157 for a team batting average, so they're going to do everything they can to manufacture runs.
First pitch to Sharnhole Adriana's in for a strike. And quickly 0-2 from Carlos Silva. The Dutch team, as we mentioned, not being blessed with the kind of power that the Venezuela team has. And this was something that Bert Blyleven reiterated to us early. They have to get out to an early start. As that one's out of play, Abreu can't get there. It is imperative in terms of Bert Blyleven's mind that the Dutch team be able to manufacture a little bit of offense early in this thing, because if they get behind by a big amount, 2, 3, 4 runs early, and they have to lean on somebody stepping up and hitting the 3-run home run, the Earl Weaver school of offense, they're really going to find themselves challenged here the later we get this afternoon.
Yeah, and Luis Sojo knows that too, and that's why he's hoping they can get out of this inning and get on the board quick.
Well, Matt, to your point, 126 team at bat so far. They have 0 home runs with only 3 RBIs. And that first win against the Dominican had some shoddy defense in that first game, and it cost them a few runs. And that was the difference, because this Netherlands team has been pitching.
Silva misses the corner, of ball and 2 strikes. The count to Sharnhole Adriana. Adriana, one of the Dutch players who is well versed in international competition, as he rolls one foul. He played in the Sydney Olympics in 2000, played in Athens in 2004. A member of the Beijing squad in 2008. Rod Delmonico and Bert Blyleven, the brain trust in the Dutch dugout.
And Rod Delmonico, that name may be familiar to some who follow the college game. He was a coach at Tennessee for a number of years.
And Adriana pops it up. Another chance for Cabrera in foul territory, and quickly there are 2 gone.
I guess if you're going to challenge somebody in that infield, the first baseman is the guy to challenge, right? But not with the pop fly.
Foul pop fly. That's not much of a challenge, Harold.
It is a decidedly Venezuelan crowd as we take a look at the gathering here in Miami this afternoon, and late arriving bunch. Venezuela team took the field, and it got loud here quickly. So 2 gone, base is empty now for Randall Simon, who picks on the first pitch and rolls it out to Lopez at second. A quick 1-2-3 start for Carlos Silva. Half inning gone. The Dutch 0, Venezuela coming to bat. Back from Miami, time for Sir Sidney Ponson to go to work. Ponson has made 2 starts so far in this World Baseball Classic. Saturday against the Dominican 4+. He allowed 2 runs on 5 hits. The 32-year-old 13-year vet is technically a free agent, as he is using the World Baseball Classic as a showcase of sorts So look for work in 2009, and his first pitch to Andy Chavez is in for strike one.
Andy Chavez now with the Seattle Mariners, and that's one of the moves that happened this winter, trying to turn the Mariners around, look for somebody who can defend out there. He'll be playing a lot of left field and patrolling that outfield in the big Safeco field zone. But man, for many years, Al, you saw him in New York with the Mets. Spectacular defensive play.
Spectacular defense, and also Harold, he doesn't get enough credit for hitting. He slaps the ball around, can run like the wind. If he can put the ball consistently on the ground on the left side, he's a tough out.
Chavez is off to a good start in the World Baseball Classic, 6 for 10 in Pool D competition. The 1-2 from Ponson is fouled away. We'll get to the rest of the Venezuela lineup in a moment. It is a loaded group. In fact, combined 20 All-Star appearances is what Ponson and the Dutch pitching staff has to deal with today. Chavez, ironically, the only non-All-Star starting for Venezuela. And there's a drive out to the gap in right center. That's trouble right out of the chute, and Chavez can run. Takes the turn at second, and Andy Chavez will get into third base with a leadoff triple.
Well, he got a ball up and just drove it into the gap. And this is a big ballpark, Matt. You were dead on it. It's going to be 3 all the way. As soon as that ball hit the grass, you knew it was 3. But here's a fastball he wanted to end, and it ran away from him. He stayed with it. And Al, you're talking about slapping the ball to the left side. When you have that approach to hit that ball the other way and you get a ball up tailing on you like that, you're going to drive it. And there's a look at how big this ballpark is. This was a no-doubt triple. They're in trouble already, Matt.
Well, now the run producers have an opportunity with Chavez at third to start the afternoon. But the Venezuela bats were alive in their first games in the WBC. 28 of their 51 hits now have gone for extra bases. And here's Melvin Mora, the two-time All-Star, coming off a good year last season in Baltimore. 23 home runs, 104 driven in. He's in an RBI opportunity early today.
Well, it's interesting. You've got the infield playing back also, so he just puts the ball in play. They're going to pick up a run.
Rest of that lineup after Chavez and Mora: Bob Abreu, Miguel Cabrera, and Maglio Ordonez. That would be an all-star triumvirate in any country. Carlos Guillen, the switch hitters, at DH batting 6th. Jose Lopez, Ramon Hernandez, and Cesar Izturis round things out for the Venezuela lineup. And again, 20 combined all-star appearances for Team Venezuela. As a slider misses a corner, and it's 2 balls and a strike.
I pointed that out about the infield because you would think in this situation they might draw infield in because they don't score a lot of runs. They're going to have to cut it off. And the thought is, if you play deep, you're giving them a run. That might be all they get all day. That's maybe all they need against the Kingdom of Netherlands offense. So I'm thinking you got to bring your defense in regardless. Right here, I know it's the second hitter to the game, but that's how poor your offense has been. You're not going to get a lot of run production.
Herb Blyleven knows that pitch counts and pitch pace is really crucial in these events. And Al, speak to the fact that because there is a hard pitch count put on guys who work in this, you know, a tough first or second inning for your starter is really going to set you back quite a ways.
Oh, absolutely. It's up to, in this pool, you have 85 pitches you could go. And then there's, you know, we'll talk about it maybe later on. If you go a certain amount of pitches, if you go 30 or more, you can't pitch the next day.
There's a run.
Little jam shot ground ball out to shortstop. Good enough to bring in Chavez and make it 1-0 Venezuela. Credit Melvin Mora with the RBI.
Well, and that's my point right there, Matt. Particularly when you get 2 strikes on a hitter, you know he's going to have a defensive at bat. That 1 run may be enough to win this ball game. You got the infield. If the infield's drawn in, this is a number at the shortstop. You hold him at third, and you give yourself another opportunity. Now you're down 1-0, and here comes the heart of that lineup.
Yeah, I agree with you, Harold. The fact that they haven't scored and it's been all about pitching and defense, you just said it perfectly. That would have been a perfect play for the shortstop to hold the runner at third. Albeit Andy Chavez is just not a runner. He's very fast. It would have had to have been a hit just like that.
Yeah, but if the infield's in, he's not going on a grounder. He's going to wait and make sure that ball goes through because you have no outs and you're heading to the heart of the order.
Here's Bob Abreu now, the two-time All-Star, takes strike one. So runner at third, nobody out, bottom of the first. Bring the infield in.
Bring them in, man.
It's tough.
We haven't scored a run, though, and every run they've scored has been unearned.
I can't say I completely disagree, as ridiculous as it sounds.
Yeah.
I mean, they're up against it here, Delayed. Let's face it. They knocked off the Dominican team twice, but Venezuela is clicking on a much higher cylinder than the Dominican team ever did. They just couldn't get it started with all the talent they brought.
Well, to your point, Harold, of the 6 runs that they scored in 4 previous games, 3 of those were unearned in the first inning of the first game against the Dominican.
There's a 2-1 to Bob Abreu.
Well, we saw the game the other night. The 13th or 12th inning or whatever inning that was when that ball game ended, they scored on a blooper to right field. Okay, I can't say anything else.
Ponson misses a corner. There's ball 4. 16 pitches for Sidney Ponson through the first 3 hitters. He's recorded 1 out.
Well, the other thing that's difficult for Sidney Ponson, as compared to a lot of the other guys, is most of these hitters have seen him before. He's been in the American League, and he's facing a lot of guys that are in the American League. So they have a little bit of an advantage. Anytime you've seen a pitcher, you get an idea of what he throws.
No, that's a great point. I think, through the course of a Major League season, there's no question about it. You get a guy that gets called up, Major League hitter hasn't seen him, there's an advantage to the pitcher.
Miguel Cabrera takes a strike. Cabrera coming off a fantastic season. His first in Detroit, hit .292 with 37 home runs to lead the American League. And of course, his background here is a Florida Marlin, one of the homegrown products that the Marlins were unable to afford. A ball and a strike, the count to Cabrera. And Ponson laboring early here this afternoon.
Well, he's thrown 9 balls and 9 strikes in his 18 pitches, but a lot of times he's trying to nibble. He's trying to get somebody to chase a pitch. He needs a ground ball right here, double play, to get him out of it and get him going.
1-2 to Cabrera.
What's he thinking out there, Al?
You touched, well, he's thinking about what the lineup that he has. Look, there's a matter of limiting your damage, and you talked about it, infield in Endy Chavez. You can't, as a pitcher, think along the line. Now, albeit it's all about winning and losing as to whether your team's ever going to score a run. And in a situation like this, you're trying to get early outs. This is a devastating offense. If they're going to score, there's a good chance they're going to score more than 1 run anyway.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
I mean, that's a tough way to pitch, to think that you're worried about the 1-run loss. You just got to continue to make pitches. Bert Blyleven has talked about how Sidney Ponson came in to this tournament very serious, wants to get a job, is in shape.
His ground ball to third. DeCaster gets it to second base, but the relay's not in time. That would have been tricky to turn, given some of the awkward angles the infielders made for themselves. And there are 2 away.
Well, it wasn't one of the smoother attempts for a double play. Now, you got Cabrera running, and that's why the second baseman goes ahead and attempts this. If he could get this throw in the air, they've still got a shot. But it ends up bouncing. Nice play by Randall Simon to keep that in the infield. But you're right, Matt. It started with the third baseman. He just didn't get the footwork there to give a good lead to DeCastro at second.
So now the 6-time All-Star Maglio Ordonez. A run in, a 2 away rather, with a runner aboard, and Ponson starts him with a strike. There may be more familiarity here in this matchup, Ponson and Ordonez, than in any other matchup you find based on these 2 rosters. Ordonez with his years in the American League, Ponson with his years in Baltimore.
Just coming right after Ordonez. You mentioned about the matchup. That's just by you.
And a little pop in the infield. So Ponson limits the damage to 1. Venezuela is on the board, however, and at the end of an inning, 1-0 Venezuela. Plenty of Dutch orange, plenty of Venezuelan flags in the stands here this afternoon on a breezy day in Miami. Ed Rapuano, by the way, the crew chief and home plate umpire this afternoon. He's been a big league umpire since 1991. As Yurendo DeCaster sends a ground ball to the Gold Glover is Turris, who kicks it and then throws it away. These are the kind of breaks that led to the Dutch scoring some runs against the Dominican. They've got their leadoff hitter aboard to start the second.
What you tapping me on the shoulder for, Al? You
Middle infielder.
This ball just came up on him and ate him up, and then he rushed it. You know, we talked about the Gold Glover. He's in perfect position, and sometimes you get top spin on the dirt, and it eats you up. It ate him up. Should he have caught it? Yeah, but it ate him up.
E6 puts DeCaster aboard for the left-handed hitting left fielder Brian Engelhardt. See Ramon Hernandez set up on the corner, and Silva misses up and away.
See, the other thing they have to do with a guy like Silva, you know he's going to be around the plate. You got to hit and run. You got to move, because if he hits a ground ball, you're back to a double play situation. I'm just trying to help move the offense, that's all. There you go, bunt. Dude, oh, man, if he gets that down, that's a knock. Morris playing him like he's got a right-handed Dave Winfield up there. Holy smokes.
He was, too. Left-handed batter who's given himself up to the bunt, and Moore is out to short left.
And he's going back. He's going to keep backing up there, dare him to bunt again. You can't see it at home, but we can.
1 ball and 1 strike is the count from Silva to Engelhardt. We should point out that these pictures are being distributed internationally, so we don't have the luxury of saying, hey, show us the Dutch dugout. Oh, there they are. The 1-2 to Engelhardt fouled away. You know, you have to figure that opportunities for the Dutch to score will be few and far between. The flip side of that is putting pressure on your lineup. Every time there's a base runner aboard, you have to play the small ball and think about moving runners instead of letting your guys hit away.
Hindley Muellen's hitting coach, bam, bam, and then they're right there's Rod Delmonico, and they're thinking the same thing you're talking about, Matt. How do we jumpstart this offense? Here's a gapper.
Chavez can't get to it. That's into left center field. DeCaster into third. They're going to wave him around to try to score. Ball's going to be there in plenty of time. Wow.
That's excellent execution. Now, you know, with no outs, now you're second and third, no outs. I hate to keep second guessing everything that happens, but you can't send them right there. I know they want to push the envelope, but that's not the one you push it on. Nice piece of hitting. The ball ran away from him. He drove the ball to the gap. And this ball hung up there a long time, guys. It looked like the wind pushed it back and then pushed it out. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, you can see the route that Chavez took, but you're exactly right. You try not to ever make the first out at home plate.
But what happened here was Turris was not fooled. You saw him get the relay, and he never hesitated with going home. In that situation, you already know as an infielder, it's going to be second and third. They may not send him, but he anticipated the throw.
Here's the third baseman, Vince Roy, now. Well, it did not take a perfect throw to nail DeCaster trying to score there. He was out by 15 feet. There's an example of where this self-fulfilling prophecy that we're not going to score hurts the Dutch. There's a knock back up the middle. They're going to wave Engelhardt around, and the Netherlands has tied it 1 apiece.
That is all right. Look at them, man. These guys never die. They make mistakes, and they continue to be able to cover them up. Silva's getting the ground ball, but it's just not placed. Tell you what, that first play really hurt him, though. It's a breaking ball right here, huh, Matt? Al?
Yeah, a slider middle of the plate. Rube got the barrel of the bat on the ball. He did get the ground ball past his Turris. They're putting the ball in play. So much for that 151 batting average.
Stats, man. Don't believe them all the time.
Here's Greg Hallman now with a runner at first base, and a fastball catches a corner for a strike. The Seattle property center fielder with a run in, 1 out, and a man at first base.
This kid, you know, we often hear the term in sports when you have a seriously gifted athlete, a freak. I mean, he's big, he can run, he's got great power. It's a matter of this young man growing into his ability. He started off in big league camp with the Mariners. He's straight out of Double-A ball, but he has got some raw talent. When it develops, look out.
You know, not to be Debbie Downer here, but I'll throw it out there anyway.
Okay.
You know, as you take a look at the play again at the plate, and you can see just how easy they were able to get to Castor.
Well, again, it was this tourist never hesitated. And you're right, Matt. I mean, he's got the ball plenty of time to make the tag. It's a good play all the way around. Well, what were you going to say, Debbie?
Well, what I was going to say is you see Hallman swing and miss is, you know, Greg Hallman has had some opportunities and still a young guy, but it's a team collectively that doesn't have a lot of major league experience.
Right.
And there are 2 gone now. What I was going to say was we get back to that play at third base, and that's an example of where the coaching staff is trying to manufacture something because they know that they're up against it.
Right.
You know,
right.
you know you have to score. You're sending a guy that get killed at the plate with nobody out in the inning. You got runners at second and third, nobody out there if you hold them up.
You're right. Everything that we're describing here, they feel it. They know it. They're trying to push a run.
Kenley Jansen, the batter now, as he takes a pitch low, and it's 2 balls and no strikes to the behemoth switch hitting catcher.
Well, I had a good talk with him in the cage. You know, he's really struggled. Hit like 229 last year in A-ball for his 4th season in A-ball. They want to move him to a pitcher. I think they're crazy. I know he's got a great arm, but I think if he's a natural left-handed hitter, leave him alone. Say, you know what? The switch hitting is done. Just hit left-handed. Watching this kid catch behind the plate, he's too good a catcher to all of a sudden say, hey, we'll make a pitcher out of him. I'm sorry, that doesn't work with everybody. Then again, I guess it's easy to pitch, huh, Al?
Yeah, right, Harold. Yeah, look, if you got a guy, Hensley Mulin's the hitting coach, working with a guy like Jansen, you're right. I mean, for him to immediately give up on that. Hensley's a guy that first of Curacao born, make it to the major leagues. I played with Hensley down minor leagues with the Yankees. Why not let him catch? I mean, there's plenty of catches if they could catch and not hit a whole lot.
Runner goes as Jansen puts it in play. Hernandez is on it. And it's a run to tie in the Dutch second. An inning and a half gone. Netherlands 1, Venezuela 1. 0-1 the count to Carlos Guillen, who is off to a 3-for-14 start in the WBC. 2 of his 3 hits have left the ballpark, however, 2 home runs in Pool D.
And this is where Ponson's experience comes in for him. If he can settle down and get through this half inning after they tied the game back up, then that's a big boost to this ball club.
You know, you make a good point, Harold. Every starter and every game, that first inning is kind of a feel inning. And leading up to this, the emotions are real high.
On the ground for DeCaster, and Guillen is retired, 1 away. Well, one thing we know about the surface here at Dolphin Stadium is that it's in fantastic shape, as opposed to during points in the summer when they have their trouble with rain and heat. 404 to dead center field here, and talk about pitching here, Al. This was a home ballpark for you for many years.
You know what? And I was here a couple years at 96, 97, and it's a pitcher's park, guys. Left field, you got the big green teal wall. That is a legitimate center field poke. Right center field is legit. A little bit down the line, you'll see some lefties, even though 345 right field, it goes out. There seems to be a little bit of more of a jet stream to right field. Overall, this is a pitcher's park.
This guy right here, though, it doesn't matter what park he's in right now. He's been the hottest hitter on the Venezuelan squad. He's been tearing it up, everything. He's hitting everything, breaking balls, fastballs. A lot of guys are not hitting breaking pitches this time of year because it's so early in spring camp. He's been on everything.
Jose Lopez 7 for 10 with 5 doubles, as you see Quarterman's up early in the bullpen for the Dutch.
Well, you know, talking with Bert Blyleven before the game, he already had it scripted out how he wanted to have his pitching staff rolled out. Wanted to go to Quarterman, then to Schmidt, and then maybe, if necessary, he'd get the Suburban. But how effective is that, Al, when you're in this situation? They tell you, here's when you're going in.
Excellent. It's really similar to spring training, Harold. Pitchers know when they're coming in. Bert Blyleven, longtime Major League pitcher, should be in the Hall of Fame. This is a situation right here. When we talked to Bert before the game, guys, you know, his intention was to have Sidney Ponson go at least 4 or 5. I said ideal situation 5. He said that would be great, obviously.
Popped in the infield for Randall Simon.
But as you described, he's got it all lined up for Quartermans to come in. He'd like to, at some point, there's some matchup with Markwell. At some point, a young pitcher from here in South Florida, Juan Carlos Silva.
He'd like to use the guy he calls JC if they're leading at some point today. He's a guy with electric stuff that the Dutch are very excited about. So 2 gone here for Ponson, and now it's Ramon Hernandez. Hernandez played in the World Baseball Classic in 2006 for Team Venezuela. An All-Star in 2003 in Oakland. He has changed uniforms this offseason, being dealt from Baltimore to Cincinnati, part of a rebuilt, perhaps sleeping giant in Cincinnati this year. That's one of my picks, by the way, as we promised each other we'd talk a little bit of big league baseball today.
Yes, indeed.
Cincinnati might be one of those teams that creeps up on some people in 2009.
I agree with you, believe it or not. I think he's a big part of it. Hernandez is going to be a nice addition. If you look at Jay Bruce, you got Jerry Harrison coming back there. Their lineup is nice. I like the fact that with Griffey had done out of the lineup, it gives them a chance to go versatile, a little more young, and do some things with their team.
You know, and they got some exciting young arms. Certainly what Volquez did last year. And Cueto. A little sinker down away. Nice little call from Eddie Rapp.
2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 gone and the base is empty. And there's that guy, the bat boy.
There's the pitch count. That 39th pitch for a K.
A much quicker, much more efficient second inning for Sir Sidney Ponson. But Carlos Silva gave up a run on a couple of hits and an error in the second. We head to the top half of the third with Venezuela and the Kingdom of the Netherlands all tied 1 apiece. Back with Al Leiter and Harold Reynolds. Matt Vasgersian, good to have you with us on MLB Network this afternoon. Our first of 2 telecasts as the World Baseball Classic has advanced to Miami. Manager Luis Sojo. And not only is it a highly decorated 1 through 9, that's a very accomplished coaching staff in terms of big league resumes that Luis Sojo has put together as Charlon Scope fouls off the first pitch. The Big Cat, Andres Galarraga, Tony Armas, Luis Sojo. Very
nice.
Distinguished dugout.
Well, you know what? They take a lot of pride. That's the great thing about the Latin American countries and the islands that they play on, because the players will go back and be a big part of those communities and give back to it. And that's, speaking of which, that's why the Kingdom of the Netherlands has become so great, because a lot of these kids are from Curacao. You know, Scope, his brother Jonathan played in the Little League World Series a few years ago when I was doing the Little League World Series. And talking with Hensley Mullins before the game, one of the reasons that the team from Curacao now has gone back to the Little League World Series 8 years in a row is because those players have gone back. Andrew Jones himself and a few others, and they throw an academy for a month. They do a month of clinics for the youth baseball on the island. It's taken off.
Yep. Well, you said it. You know, look, how do you get the grassroots for kids to want to play the game is to let them play. And you mentioned Hensley Mullins. They have a nice academy. They have clinics. Kids see big leaguers that get up to the major leagues. They start admiring them. They look up to the other Latin American countries. Certainly Venezuela. Aruba's not just an island coast away from Venezuela.
See, now Hernandez is going to snap back there because that's the pitch he got called out on. And he's sitting there going, if he gets that pitch when I'm at the plate, I should get it when I'm behind the plate catching.
Not that one. He had that ball was down.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Charlon Scope. And a little comebacker for Silva. Well, we remind you to stay with us tonight for the second game of our doubleheader. It'll be Puerto Rico and the U.S. 8 Eastern right here on MLB Network. Take a little break between games, fill out new lineup cards, and watch the second game from this Pool 2 here in Miami. It's part of a full day here on MLB Network. White Sox and Rangers from the Cactus League in between our WBC contests this afternoon. Keep it right here all day. One gone for Gene Kingsale.
You know, this whole pool you mentioned down here in Miami, there's probably some effect to not having a Dominican as far as attendance.
Fly ball for Chavez in center. And 2 gone.
But I'll tell you guys, I feel with the Netherlands and what they did and that huge upset and what it meant really, you know, for peripheral baseball fans to start kind of perking up. Hey, what is this WBC?
Well, the other clubs took notice of it too. I mean, talking with Pudge Rodriguez yesterday from Puerto Rico, he was like, this whole thing will be a battle, and even the Kingdom of Netherlands, they've caught the eyes of many.
First pitch to Charnel Adriana gets through Melvin Mora and on into left field. So a 2-out base runner here against Silva.
Well, this Silva's a good matchup for them here. Melvin Mora ranging to his left, almost coming up with the pick. The left side of the infield's been challenged a little bit.
That was a hot smash right there. That was a tough play for Melvin Mora. You know, and I wonder also too, you know, new ballparks, you know, you get batting practice, during batting practice they get grounders. This surface here at Dolphin Stadium, it's hard. It's short grass, you know, hard dirt. We've already seen a couple quick little hops. How is that when you get into a new stadium?
It gets on you quick. Plus, both these clubs coming off AstroTurf fields the last round. You know, anytime you go from AstroTurf to dirt, I had to do it quite a bit in my career. You always want to take as many ground balls as you possibly can on a natural dirt surface because the ball's going to bounce differently.
Yeah, I'm not saying that one with Mora, but Asturias, a sure-handed shortstop.
Randall Simon with a ground ball to Lopez. One left stranded. And through 2.5, still a 1-1 ball game. Cesar Asturias leads things off in the home half of the third. Asturias followed by Andy Chavez and Melvin Mora. 1-1 ball game. As Sidney Ponson had much less difficulty with the Venezuela lineup in the second, getting through the side 1, 2, 3.
Tell you what, a lot of people have taken notice. You know, Sidney Ponson talking with Bert Blyleven, he said it has not been his stuff. He's got great stuff, and he's settled down. He had a baby girl in the off season. It's really kept him around home, and he's settled down. And he felt like if someone gives him an opportunity, they're going to get a pretty good pitcher. Rod didn't say that.
0-2 home is fouled away.
Yeah, Harold, you're right. I mean, here's a guy, Sidney Ponson. Rod Delmonico went to 2 guys. He said Randall Simon and Sidney Ponson are going to lead this team. Just follow what they do. Because there's a lack of major league experience, Rod Delmonico has really done a nice job in just putting the players in charge and have them become accountable. And Ponson, we mentioned, we talked to Bert Blyleven. Ponson, you know, he wants a job. Obviously, he's got plenty left in the tank. It's important for him to not only represent his country, but he's got a chance to get a contract. Before the game, we saw a lot of scouts looking for some talent.
Asturias puts it in play. A good play by DeCaster to his left, and there's 1 gone. I'll bring up Andy Chavez. He has been one of the hot bats on Team Venezuela. But Chavez with a 6-for-10 start to the World Baseball Classic. Couple runs batted in. Gregor Blanco. But nobody hotter than Jose Lopez, as Harold mentioned earlier. 7 hits, 5 of them doubles. Here is Chavez now. He takes a strike.
So a picture there of Rick Vandenherk Marlin. He's penciled to start game 2, and he's really excited about being in his home ballpark.
Chavez hits it on the ground to the perfectly positioned Charlon Scope.
You can see why this team has been in their ball games. They catch the baseball. And if you don't give clubs extra outs, you're going to be in games. And you see they're making the routine plays. They're hitting the cutoff men. They're doing the little things you have to do.
Netherlands worked out in Bradenton, and this guy here, Rod Delmonico, had a 5.5-hour practice of situations. Just knowing that it's going to come down to fundamental baseball, as Harold is describing. Don't give more than the 27 outs. Catch the baseball, timely hitting. And he had long practices at just like what you would teach a high school kid or even little league level. Second and third, nobody out, create a situation. And they did it for 5 hours.
Well, he felt like that was the only way they were going to match up, because obviously, as Matt's eloquently described already, the Venezuelan club has had a ton of all-stars, major league experience. Same with the Dominicans that they face. The only way you're going to match up against these guys is be ready. Be game ready while they're still trying to get into their bodies in the condition of being a major league player ready.
A nice little paint fastball, outside corner, good frame.
And Ponson trying to change the eye level of his hitter up in the strike zone. He misses to make it 3 balls and a strike.
Yeah, and also Rod Delmonico is talking about, you see Bert Blyleven watching closely. He's talking about what you as a player can do to be the best you can and not worry about the other teams. And to your point, Harold, you look at these rosters that we're talking about. It, Matty, you just said, what, 20 all-stars? I mean, each team, we're going to watch the game tonight with Puerto Rico and the United States. It's just, all-star, superstar, future Hall of Famers. And Rod Delmonico is describing and saying, look, you just focus on your game, be fundamentally sound, and let's see where it falls.
That's why baseball is so great. You have to go ahead and put it between the lines, and you never know what's going to happen. You really don't. It's so cliche-ish, but it's so true.
Be the best Gene Kingsale that Gene Kingsale can be.
You know what? In your jest or sarcasm or whatever, yeah, you're right. That's it. But isn't that true for every player? You were in Major League a long time. When you started thinking about, oh, look at the team we're playing. Boy, we got to do this to beat them. No, you don't. You just got to be the best you can.
And Melvin Mora pops it up. Randall Simon on the logo to retire the side. That's 7 in a row, set down by Sir Sidney Ponson. We played 3, and it's a 1-1 ball game. Urendel de Castro leads things off in the Dutch 4th. Oh, ouch. Right in the grill of home plate umpire Ed Rapuano.
You wrapped him.
Urendel de Castro reached on the leadoff error in the 2nd, and then was the unfortunate victim of an overzealous third base coach trying to wave him around from first on the Brian Engelhardt double. One ball and 1 strike to de Castro. De Castro, Engelhardt, and Roy, the 4-5-6 part of the Kingdom of Netherlands lineup. And a strike to make it 1-2.
Get that pitch. It's going to be a tough AB.
Good little cut fastball from De Silva down the way.
Yeah, both guys have been sharp.
Got him swinging. Second strikeout for Silva this afternoon.
It's hard sinking fastball off the plate, comes back on the plate.
Yeah, and what set that up was the umpire called the pitch before that was off the plate. Now, if you're the hitter, you're saying, I got to chase everything. That's just the way you think. Sorry, Mr. Pitcher.
Engelhardt 2 for 2.
You hitters, if it's not right down the middle, it's a ball.
Exactly.
We'll be playing 6-hour games.
Okay, you and the time of game. Nice piece of hitting here. He takes that sinker down, and I can see where Silva might have a tough time with left-handers, because most lefties have that nice. They're going to go down and scoop that ball down and in, or as in that case, that ball ran a little bit, but they're going to be able to stay with that sinker.
There's Vince Roy now. He drove in the tying run back in the 2nd. 1 out, 1 on.
Yes.
Back to Carlos Silva, guys. And Al, you touched on this earlier when we set up the telecast, the fact that he's coming off such a disappointing 2008. 4-15, a 6.46 earned run average. And it came in a year when the Seattle Mariners were really leaning on him. After all, they had just signed him to a lucrative 4-year free agent contract in excess of $40+ million. And everything on the resume indicated that Silva was set to step out and have a big year. He had always been a ground ball guy in Minnesota.
Well, I think, Matt, the one thing that happened with Carlos is he didn't have that sinker. And clearly by August and September, the fact that he had arm injury and he started to come forward with it, he may have been hurt earlier. And oftentimes guys will hide that to get the money, and then all of a sudden you find out that you're scuffling through. Here's a nice double play. Let's see if they can work it.
Lopez to Asturias, and they get them both. They double the Dutch. I've been looking forward to using that line for a week and a half.
You got it.
We're still tied at 1.
Ooh, you got one.
Bob Abreu leads things off in the 4th inning for Venezuela. A 1-1 ball game between the Kingdom of Netherlands and Venezuela. Al Leiter, Harold Reynolds, Matt Vasgersian. Good to have you with us on MLB Network this afternoon. This is not an elimination game. It's a double elimination style tournament. Certainly the team that wins this one will be in a little bit better shape moving forward. The winner from this one gets the winner from the U.S.-Puerto Rico game tonight in their next game,
which would be on Monday.
And a swing and a miss by Abreu.
Tell you what, Sidney Ponson is mowing these guys down. And the deeper, watch this changeup right here. Great pitch. He set him up. He threw a fastball away the pitch before. Start him off with a breaking pitch. He's throwing his full assortment of pitches, and he's been able to paint with them. That is a very difficult proposition in the mid-season form of a hitter, not to mention right at the beginning of the season. He's nails right now, giving him a very difficult time.
Miguel Cabrera, the batter now with 1 gone.
I don't know how that has anything to do with your double elimination conversation, Matt. But
nothing. Had nothing to do with it.
Went that direction for you.
We can't say that Sidney Ponson is approaching 60 pitches, and as Al mentioned, the pitch counts. Oh my goodness. Ouch. Welcome back to South Florida, Miguel Cabrera. Wow. A la calle.
Tell you what, that is why everybody loves this young man. You can see, obviously, Venezuelan fans are going to yell on that. But he missed with the breaking pitch, and he got the fastball, and he didn't miss it.
Well, he had a little payback in that first at bat. He had a little grounder to shortstop in a fielder's choice situation. There's that fastball that Harold was talking about. You couldn't throw it any more down the middle. That's just a bad pitch to a great hitter, a great home run hitter. See that ball just leak. He wanted the ball away. Venezuela on the bench there, happy. That's just a poorly executed pitch. Ponson certainly would like to have back, and Cabrera paid.
2-1 ball game. 0-1 to Maglio Ordonez. And remember what happened over the weekend against the Italians. The 4-home-run 5th inning that finished off Team Italy. Once they started to swing for power, it seemed like it was just a matter of time before everybody was going to go yard in that game in Toronto.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to happen today. Ponson has been sharp, and Al, you're right, that ball tailed back. But he came right back with a breaking ball to Ordonez, and he got the fastball to foul it off. Now, I hope I'm right here, Matt.
Ball and 2 strikes. It remains to Maglio Ordonez. The next pitch will be Ponson's 70th. So our unofficial count was a little behind. This likely will be Ponson's final frame based on approaching his pitch ceiling. And Ordonez fouls off another slider. It's still 1-2.
Well, you mentioned about the official count, Matt. On the scoreboard here, I imagine that's not official. It's 64 pitches for Ponson, 49 for Silva. We got about 7 more pitches, I guess.
Seems to be a bit of a discrepancy here, doesn't it?
Well, you know, in this play, it matters. It could mean another inning.
Well, the other thing it means is that that ball that Cabrera just hit added 7 pitches, because that was like, you know, by the time it landed, they gave him 6 other pitches in between.
Oh,
that was the difference.
Miguel
We didn't see
Cabrera,
those.
you know, last year, as you mentioned, Al, the home runs, 37 home runs, 127 runs batted in, and Ordonez is caught looking.
I'm telling you, you take away the home run, and guys are going to do that. I'm very impressed with Sidney Ponson. Al, what do you think of Sidney's performance today?
Oh, man, you see him hitting his head right there, Harold. He just knows you got the middle of the order. This is a devastating lineup. Abreu, Cabrera, Ordonez, now Carlos Guillen. He's hit himself looking back at that at bat with Cabrera.
That was a strangely timed curtain call by Cabrera that the fan applause made it sound like fans were behind Ponson for striking out Ordonez. In fact, they were responding to Cabrera, who you just saw make a curtain call.
We only waited 7 pitches. Maybe he brought that out for the official score there.
Carlos Guillen wraps one to third. DeCaster has it.
Uh-oh, pick it.
And Simon does in fact make the pick, but the home run by Cabrera puts Venezuela back on top. It's 2-1. And we approach a time in these World Baseball Classic games, gentlemen, where pitch counts become very important bits of information. Carlos Silva has been a little bit more efficient than his pitching counterpart Sidney Ponson, as he starts Greg Hallman with a pitch that misses. It's, check that, in for a strike. 0-1 to Hallman. Hallman, Jansen, and Scope, the bottom third of the order for the Dutch. 0-2.
Well, the thing that Silva's been able to do also is when he has got into a jam, he's been able to get the double play ball. And that obviously will cut down on your amount of pitches you have to make to get outs.
And Hallman not with a good idea of the slider. A 3-pitch strikeout for Silva. Guys, this was the curtain call that that Cabrera took as Ordonez struck out. We referenced this, and the applause made it sound like people were cheering for the Netherlands pitcher, when in fact it had to do with Cabrera, and it wasn't really your standard curtain call either. There was a bit of sarcasm to its tone, and then when Cabrera came out, everybody erupted in applause for him. Strange happenings here. A ball and no strikes, a count to the catcher Kelly Jansen. And Kenley Jansen swings and misses. It's 1-1.
So Silva is taking advantage of their youth right now. He's just gone to the off-speed pitch. He's got a nice feel for it. And, you know, Al, as you progress through the minor leagues, it's the breaking pitch that's the big difference.
Well, if you get anybody get to the big leagues, you know they can hit a fastball. And to your point, Harold, you're exactly right. I think really what's happening here, this lineup is real aggressive. There he gets a favorable call right there. And if they're taking on the personality of Randall Simon barely ever walked. Going into today's game, let's see this borderline pitch right here. They had 8 walks. With the ball a little bit down.
Yeah, but it's tough to walk.
Well, but I mean, if about good big league hitters, that they have strike zone identification, no pitch selection, and lay off the tough pitch. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's what
big
good
league
big league
guys
hitters do.
Yeah, and when you don't have any big league hitters.
Right. Well, I mean, you have 126 team at bats coming into it, and they had 7 walks.
You know what they
as
say,
a team,
right? You don't walk off the island.
Well, and Randall Simon was quoted numerous times as saying that.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is with young hitters, a big league pitcher like they're seeing in this tournament is going to exploit them. They're going to throw the off-speed pitch. You said identify the strike zone. They're going to hit fastballs. And you don't have any big league hitters. You have one guy that's a big league at bat, and that's Randall Simon.
Well, you got Gene Kingsale. I know he's not a big leaguer now. But yeah, to your point, no doubt about it.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Kenley Jansen. On the ground to shortstop as Turris is on it, and there are 2 away. Join us during the regular season when MLB Tonight brings you nightly live coverage of every major league game from the first pitch in the East to the final out on the West Coast. You won't want to miss a thing. Breaking news, live look-ins, highlights, and analysis all night long. MLB Tonight, Monday through Saturday throughout the season on MLB Network, our national pastime all the time.
So that means we got Sunday off?
Don't jinx it. Don't shoot the clown, as they say. Here's Charlon Scope now.
Yeah, MLB tonight's going to be special, man, to be able to come on, preview the East Coast games, and then close it out with the West Coast games. And it's going to be on all night. As a fan, you can't help but enjoy that.
Live cut-ins, being able to go over to the studio. If there's something that happened in the game, pull it out, watch your analysis on a key play.
Occasional visits from Mr. Blister.
That's right. I guarantee there'll be an incident this year where the pitcher comes over to Blister. At least one.
Charlon Scope still looking for his first World Baseball Classic knock. 0 for 16 with 6 punch-outs, and he's behind Silva here 0-2.
Ouch. Tell you what, they get on you here too, man. You foul a ball off. Everybody thinks they're a big league fan, meaning they used to play in the big leagues, but now they're a fan. You're supposed to catch every ball. That one went right through his hands, off his noggin.
The ones straight back aren't too bad.
Ball and 2 strikes to Scope. Charlon Scope, San Francisco Giant property, and a guy who played in A-ball last year, facing Carlos Silva with a 1-2 count and 2 away. Oh. Sharply hit to third. What a pick by Melvin Mora. And a 1-2-3 fifth.
Tell you, that's the difference between major league players and minor leaguers. You make this play in the big leagues, this play doesn't get made in the minors.
Welcome back to Miami. 2-1 Venezuela as we have reached the midway point this afternoon. Venezuela batting here in the 5th. They offer Lopez, Hernandez, and Izturis. The bottom of the order against Sir Sidney Ponson. His 70th pitch, 70th pitch of the game is in for a strike. So Ponson, guys, 15 pitches away from mandatory removal per World Baseball Classic rules. And it looks like Jose Lopez is going to try to work everything he can out of him here. Now it's 2-1.
Well, for Ponson, to keep him at 2-1 is tremendous. If he can get out of this and get his pitch limit and still have them 1 run back, is a great thing for them. And that's why he's going to challenge guys. He knows his time is coming out.
You got that right. If I'm on that mound right now, I'm looking up there and I assume that 72 pitch count is the right number. And I know that I have 85. You're busting. If you're Sidney Ponson, you're busting every thought to get through this inning, throw strikes, and get some quick outs.
The 2-2. Shot to first base. Randall Simon will do it himself, and there's 1 gone.
Now, Al, I want to ask you about that comment. Are you up to maybe make a mistake more if you're sitting there thinking about that?
Well, you know, we saw the replay last inning. Miguel Cabrera is not the guy you want to make a mistake to. That may be the case. If he's going to be not stubborn enough, but he's now sitting here 12 more pitches. He has to be taken out by that man there, by 11 and Rod Delmonico. You want to make sure that you get ahead and expand that way and still pitch, but with your mindset of knowing that you're at a limited pitch count right here. Nice little slider, first pitch strike. You got the bottom of the order here.
0-1 the count to Ramon Hernandez, a strikeout victim in the 2nd.
Now they've already abandoned their game plan, right? They wanted to go a different pitcher.
Look at this. They just might be able to get Ponson out of 5 complete, as he's still got a little bit of ceiling left on that pitch count with Hernandez grounding out.
Now, the interesting thing here also is that because I was talking earlier about how they were going to be game ready, and Al went in and talking about how long the workouts were and everything else. They've been playing for quite some time. Ponson is probably in better pitching shape than most big league guys in camp right now because he's been throwing longer.
Izturis picks on the first pitch, and Ponson will, in fact, complete 5.
He may get another inning.
Oh, he will.
A 1-2-3 fifth. On to the 6th inning. It's still 2-1 Venezuela. Well, Sidney Ponson has pitched well this afternoon. He has thrown 76 pitches. Here's Gene Kingsale to lead things off in the top of the 6th inning for the Dutch. You know, we were talking about this between innings, guys. It's unlikely, it's still possible that Rod Delmonico and Bert Blyleven could bring Ponson back to start the 6th inning, but he's got to face a left-hander, a right-hander, and another left-hander. Yeah. He's only got 9 pitches left in him and is likely done for the day.
Well, as great as he was with the 9 pitches, why flirt with danger? As you just said, the left, right, left. He did a great job. He got some arms down there that they had set up to come in.
Look, send him home. It's been great. You did a nice job, Sidney. Great day for us. You kept us within one. Go home feeling good about yourself. And he's going to pitch again. This is a double elimination tournament. You got a chance for him to come back and pitch another game. Let him have a great mindset that he pitched against an all-star team and kept him to 2 runs.
Ball and 2 strikes to Kingsale.
Oh.
Got him looking.
Ow.
That's 4 punch-outs for Silva this afternoon. Ow like ball or ow like good pitch?
No, like ball, man.
You know, Gene Kingsale had a big game in Pool D, Game 5. Drove in the run against Carlos Marmol to tie it. And then ended up scoring the game winner. And it came after it looked like he might be the GOAT. Tried to make a sliding play in the outfield that led to a run late. As Adriana pops to first, and there are 2 quick outs for Silva here.
Tell you what, some of these teams, Venezuela and Dominican and Puerto Rico in particular, if they lose, it's tough to even go back to your country because there's such high expectations and they're such baseball countries that if you don't win, oh, the disappointment is enormous.
Here's Randall Simon now. All 3 of his World Baseball Classic hits have been singles.
I'd like to see him buggy whip one right here.
He's got that big follow through, almost like the Rich Gedman high chopper follow through. We didn't see it there as he grounds to second base. And that's 7 in a row retired by Carlos Silva. To the bottom of the 6th inning. It's still 2-1 Venezuela. And welcome back to Miami. Bottom half of the 6th inning. The Dutch have gone to the bullpen for right-hander Rob Cortemans, who takes over here to get the top of the order. Chavez, Mora, and Abreu. Cortemans, the first 4-time Olympian baseball player in Kingdom of the Netherlands history. He pitched in '96 in Atlanta, 2000 in Sydney, '04 in Athens, and most recently in Beijing.
Wow, that's impressive. What's he throw, Al?
Yeah, you know, talking to Bert Blyleven, this guy is 5 years in a row in the Dutch league as the pitcher of the year, and he was 34 years old. It's a good little sinker, slider, knows how to pitch, both quarters of the plate. 34 years old, Dutch league. This guy is a pitcher. Referred to as a journeyman once you've been pitching for a period of time.
It's impressive, though, Matt. All those Olympics show some durability. Is baseball spread out the 4 years like the regular Olympic Games, or do they go every 2 years, or what do they do?
Well, it's gone for now.
Yeah, I knew that.
It's gone, but yeah, every 4 years, every Olympic cycle, that had been the case. And a strikeout for Cortemans is his first order of business today. 1 gone.
You know, I think the deeper this game goes, the bigger advantage Cortemans or whoever is on the mound the rest of the way for the Netherlands has, because they have not seen these guys.
You said it. That right there was a nasty little change-up. 2 circle change. Bert Blyleven talking about pounding the strike zone, throwing strikes and getting ahead. He has a good assortment of off-speed pitches, as you saw with that changeup. There's a slider.
0-1 the count home to Melvin Mora.
And I'm telling you, this time of year, I keep going back to this. I harp on it because off-speed pitches are very difficult to hit right now. You give these guys another 30 at-bats or so, they're going to be on the timing of an off-speed pitch. But it's the most difficult time. It's the greatest advantage. I mean, Al, in spring training this time of year, did you break off your breaking pitches very often? Or
well, by now you do. But you know what? It surprises me that you say that as a veteran major league player, because I always cut it in 2 categories. Guys that were young and especially coming off of Winter League, yes, I agree with you, Harold. Off-speed pitches, you got to pitch. When you got the veteran guys that are just coming down to spring training, getting their timing, I always thought you had a week or 2, or at least 2 or 3 starts as a starting pitcher in spring training to get your fastball by these guys, because it takes a while for them to click it a little sooner against the fastball. So it surprises me that you say that this time of the year it's harder to hit off-speed pitches than a good fastball.
Well, because everybody hits in BP off fastballs, and you don't really hit breaking pitches, and you're constantly saying as a hitter, stay back, let the ball come to you. So it's easier to do with the breaking pitch, with the fastball. then you throw a wrinkle in there, you start getting yourself out front, off balance, and it just messes up your timing. So that's why I say it's a little more difficult.
Well, for timing issue. Yeah, and we're talking about, Quarterman's, he's a guy that, maybe he'll pop an 88, so it's not an overpowering fastball.
Mora bounces it out to shortstop for Charlon Scope. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the World Baseball Classic Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
I'm telling you, on MLB tonight, if they go back and roll back all the home runs that have been hit in the World Baseball Classic, I guarantee you 90% have been on fastballs.
Well, we saw one today, right down the middle.
There's Bob Abreu now with 2 gone and the bases empty, as Cordovans picks up right where Ponson left off. We've seen a couple of shots this inning, guys, of Bert Blyleven, and I know that he gets a lot of focus, a lot of attention when people talk about the Dutch team. His impact on this pitching staff has been immeasurable. And he told us before the game that when he was contacted by Robert Eenhoorn, the ex-Yankee, who heads the Dutch Baseball Federation back in Amsterdam, they wanted him to be the pitching coach back in 2006 for the inaugural World Baseball Classic. And that's when Bert's daughter was getting married. He had too many things going on. He had to politely decline, but he had been looking forward to this for the last 3 years. And he has made such a huge impact, most notably preaching throwing strikes. Sounds like simple stuff, right?
The other thing he's done is he's taught guys his curveball. Nobody had a better breaking ball than Bert Blyleven. And Rick Vanderhurt, who is with the Florida Marlins, who has great stuff already, Bert has had a huge impact on him. And I can't wait to watch him pitch and see what kind of breaking pitch he's come up with, because he's really used that breaking ball that Blyleven used to throw. So to add that to his assortment, he's already got great stuff. Changeup.
Great changeup.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Bob Abreu.
I'll speed pitch. Go ahead.
Look, you know what? You can have fun with that. There's no look. What do? You pitch. You throw strike. You have command of a fastball, and you get to your off-speed pitch. My point about a veteran player. Now here, this is a veteran player, Bobby Abreu. Quarterman's got to throw his pitches. There's a good fastball down the way.
Couple of strikeouts for Rob Cordovans in a 1-2-3 sixth, and the Dutch are still just 1 run back. Jurendel de Caster leads things off here in the 7th inning for Kingdom of Netherlands as Carlos Silva continues. 71 pitches into his afternoon. They'd love to get another inning out of him, and he gets a quick pop up here as de Caster, first pitch picking, pops it to Mora. I bring up Brian Engelhardt now, who looked like he was going to be set up as a runner at second base with another at third after he doubled with a man at first base and nobody out in the second. Instead, Jurendel de Caster was waved around to score, and an early Dutch effort to tie it was snuffed out. They would end up tying it 1 at-bat later. But in a 1-run game, and here we are late, guys, as we suspected, looking back, that was a crucial decision to try to send de Caster early.
Well, again, I don't want to pick on the third base coach, and when you're playing at different levels and the speed of the game is so different and the arm strength and everything else that's out there, yes, you send him A ball, AA, AAA, Olympics, all that. That's a major league arm out there at shortstop on that relay. And the game is just faster and stronger, and that's why he gets thrown out. And maybe that affected the decision he had to send him. I don't know. But to me, it's a whole nother level, and it's a whole different speed.
Well, Wim Martinez is the third base coach, and it's still the first out early in the game.
Ooh.
Ordonez fighting the sky, and that's the first time Silva has retired Engelhardt. Well, Brian Engelhardt has 2 of the Netherlands' 4 hits as you take a look at the in-game box score. 2-1 Venezuela, top of the 7th inning.
The other thing I noticed on that fly ball with Ordonez in left field, he doesn't play left field. And that ball sliced back on him, and it was kind of like, uh-oh, I'm in a different field here. He's deferred to Bobby Abreu in right. But the ball plays different depending on the corners you're on.
There's Vince Roy now with 2 gone and the bases empty. Roy singled in what was the tying run back in the first.
You know, the great thing is these guys came in here believing they had a chance to win, and they're not here by accident. And that's what you have to have, that kind of mentality.
And I think, you know, taking it what Rod Delmonico did with Randall Simon, I know not to beat a dead horse, but having
Or kill the clown.
Or kill the clown. You know, they're taking on that personality, and those guys are yee-haw, let's have some fun kind of attitude.
10 in a row set down by Carlos Silva. That's amazing. With an 85 pitch count, he is through 7 and still hasn't hit 85 pitches. 7th inning stretch. It's still 2-1 Venezuela. Venezuela still on top 2-1 as they square up against Rob Cordamons in the bottom of the 7th with Cabrera, Ordonez, and Guillen. It was Miguel Cabrera who sent the moonshot into left in the 4th that made this the 2-1 ball game that we're currently watching. A ball and no strikes to the 4-time All-Star. You know, as good a year as Cabrera had last season with the Tigers, as most of his damage came in the second half of the season, he was not an All-Star for the first time in 5 years.
Well, as good a year as he had a bad year. I mean, that's the ceiling that is set above him. 37 home runs, it's hard to say, oh, yeah, bad season, 37 home runs. But for him, he didn't really tear it up like you expected him to. He just kind of had little spurts throughout the season. He'd have nice little hot streaks and cool down. He's usually a lot more consistent. I think this year he'll relax. They moved him from 3rd to 1st and back to 3rd and back to 1st. This year he'll start at 1st. He'll play first base. He knows where he's hitting at. I think he'll be more solid this year than he was last year.
Boy, it's hard to believe. You know, you say a guy led the league in home runs and total bases, and he had a down year, but I understand what you're saying.
Well, and also, too, you talk about a big disappointment with the Tigers last year. Teams picked them to go to the World Series or certainly to be in the postseason.
2-2 from Cordamons to Cabrera, misses outside. It's a full count now, 3-2.
Well, and I say that with the utmost respect and compliment to his abilities, but I don't think he's even come close to scratching the surface of what he can do. You know, and if he gets pushed every day and he's around those guys and they push him, I think we're going to see a tremendous ceiling that can be touched by this young man. And
into the opposite field this time, and this one will die for Kingsale. Well, Venezuela just 2 for 23 in this game this afternoon as we take a look at their in-game box. This was a big part of it. Cabrera's solo shot in the 4th inning that made it 2-1.
Well, it's been about pitching this whole game. Both sides have dominated. You know, I was watching Cabrera when he hit that ball right there. You could tell he's played a lot of games in this ballpark because he knew it was in his glove. The ball died out there, Al.
Yeah, well, you know, it looked like it got off just at the end of the bat. Cordamons had a little slider that just enough velocity off for Cabrera not to be able to get the good part of the barrel.
Here's Maglo Ordonez now as Cordamons is on the corner for strike 1.
Yeah,
you know, let's reset here the fact that this Venezuela team, guys, hit 347 in Pool D. Only the Cubans did more offensive damage than Team Venezuela. But the combination of Ponson and now Cordamons here have really quieted them down. They do lead it 2-1, but on a total of 2 base hits. The home run by Cabrera and the leadoff triple by Andy Chavez. This one's gobbled up by DeCaster. A reminder that coming up later tonight, don't miss more great live World Baseball Classic action presented by IBM when Puerto Rico takes on Team USA. That's tonight at 8 Eastern right here on MLB Network.
I'll tell you what, these people are hard, man. They're booing them. Yeah. Hit the ball in the ballpark. Let's go. We got 2 hits.
Well, from the looks of where we're sitting here, it is pretty much all Venezuelan color, I would say.
Yeah.
It's a little Netherlands sprinkled in.
You know what's interesting to me is as Carlos Guillen stands in, there hasn't been a lot of discussion of a regional rivalry because, as we know, the Kingdom of the Netherlands it's more than just Central Europe, right? It's Curacao, it's Aruba. tiny island nations that are just on top of the tip of Venezuela, that share a lot of things in common. And they're players that are very familiar with one another, having played in amateur circuits in both countries. Yet there isn't the kind of regional hostility that some neighboring nations might otherwise enjoy.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. I think part of that is the Caribbean World Series. You don't hear about the Netherlands in the Caribbean World Series. You hear about Puerto Rico, you hear about Dominican, you hear about Venezuela, but you don't. The Netherlands are not part of the Caribbean World Series. You know, Cuba used to be a big part of that when they were before Castro took over. So those are traditional things that have happened over the years.
Well, talking to Luis Soho yesterday, you know, they were talking about, you know, the rivalry. I said Aruba is just an island off of Venezuela. He said, no, you know, it all comes down, really the Dominican Republic is a team that, to your point, Harold, you know, the Caribbean World Series, it's, you know, you look at the powerhouse, it's Venezuela, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican. And with them not being here, you know, that rival that you're talking about, Matt, it's just not there. And this is a Dutch team that's, you know, from all over the places you described. They're doing a heck of a job, especially with the 5 through 9 hitters today. They're 0 for 11.
Well, somebody needs to wake up and go, if Bert Blyleven is doing this with this group of guys, somebody's got to go, the man may know what he's thinking about. I might think about giving Bert a little phone call and see if he's interested in being a pitching coach.
Yeah, they've tried. I think Bert's too smart to get back into uniform full time. You know, it's a little easier sitting up in the broadcast booth as he does with the Minnesota Twins.
And another guy, Rod Delmonico, you know, he's not had a job since he got fired at University of Tennessee. You know, Pat Murphy, the coach at Arizona State, recommended to him as he was going down to look at different things, take the job with the Netherlands, see what happens. You know, and I think this is going to open some doors for him.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Carlos Guillen with the bases empty and 2 gone. 2-1 Venezuela. Cordomon's 3-2 pitches bounced out to second. 6 up, 6 down for the 5-time Dutch Pitcher of the Year, Rob Cordomons. Still 2-1 Venezuela. Well, Carlos Silva went 7 and threw 79 pitches. He is the pitcher of record as Yoel Hernandez comes in to try to finish things off for Venezuela this afternoon. Couple of changes behind Hernandez as well, as Gregor Blanco, the Atlanta Brave, takes over in center field. Andy Chavez moves to left. Maglio Ordonez rotates out of the game, and for Yoel Hernandez, he'll get the bottom of the order here. Hallman, Jansen, and Scope for the Dutch. Two runs on just 2 hits for Venezuela. A run on 4 hits for the Netherlands. Here is Hallman, a strikeout victim in both of his plate appearances. We have a pinch hitter. It's Curt Smith pinch hitting for Hallman to start things in this 8th inning. And the 1-0 to Smith misses a corner. 2 balls and no strikes.
They're just going to try to manufacture, and the game has changed. For them to be hanging this close, this late in the ball game, gives the Kingdom of the Netherlands a chance. You saw a look right there of Gregor Blanco, the center fielder from the Atlanta Braves, who has been very impressive. If you got a chance to see this young man play, I think he's going to get a shot to play with the Braves. He is pretty impressive. A little left-handed hitter. He goes and gets everything. He's got some power, spraying the ball over the plate.
3 balls and a strike to count to Curt Smith.
Hernandez in his only 1 game up in Toronto only went a 1/3 of an inning, 2 hits, 4 runs. Home run, good power arm slider.
Smith, St. Louis Cardinal property, who was last year's Appalachian League Player of the Year with the Johnson City Cardinals. Short season A ball.
That's the remarkable thing, is that you got these guys short season A, double A. They're facing some of the best in the game, and they're hanging tough with them.
One gone for Yoel Hernandez. Later tonight, get a complete roundup of all the World Baseball Classic action with highlights, analysis, and a look ahead of the next round of the tournament. That's World Baseball Classic tonight, presented by Sprint, 11 Eastern, right after the Puerto Rico Team USA game here on MLB Network.
I mean, you mentioned about facing the top major leaguers. How about J.C. Silva? They say potentially his upside is about as good as anybody on this Netherlands team. He's with the Reds. Last year, I saw him pitch in a high school game, a little north of here in Plantation, for a high school team that was dominating, obviously enough. But here,
what were you doing watching a high school game?
They were playing my kid's high school team.
I knew that.
Going to have another pinch hitter here, guys. It'll be Sidney DeYoung, who will swing it off the bench for Kenley Jansen. And DeYoung, a catcher, will stay in the ballgame most likely in the bottom of the 8th inning behind the plate.
Matt, have you enjoyed the WBC?
I have enjoyed it immensely, and it was something that snuck up on me in 2006. I'll be honest, I thought that this was just something that was cobbled together too little too late to get baseball re-recognized for the Olympics. And in 2006, living in San Diego at the time and watching the way that played out at Petco Park, it was unbelievable the amount of walk-up tickets that were sold for that final. I mean, you know, the Japanese team that won it brought in a lot of people from Orange County and Los Angeles County in Southern California, and it was a big deal in 2006.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to work just for time of year and guys getting ready, preparation. I'll be honest, I didn't think it was going to work. It turned out to be an incredible event, and I think this year will be even greater success because the players have got themselves conditioned earlier. Spring training, they made nice adjustments to start camps earlier. As you see Fernando in the background there. Here we get something started.
And DeYoung with a knock off the bench. A one-out base runner for the Dutch here in the top of the 8th.
I beat DeYoung no more.
All right, now let's play manager a little bit. Let's get inside of Rod Delmonico's mind. We saw this earlier in the tournament with the Dutch team, and it was unusual when you sacrifice a guy with one out to get that one chance to score him from second base. What do you do here? Do you put a play on? Do you try to move DeYoung, or do you let your guys swing the bats?
Well, I let him swing, or you may even hit and run. Scope is not going to hit into a double play unless it's a hard, sharp ball at somebody. I don't sacrifice him over by no means.
That had been done earlier in the tournament by the Dutch team, and it was a surprising play. But again, it plays into this. They have to manufacture and take advantage of the few opportunities they're going to have.
I agree.
Well, I mean, for Scope right now, he hasn't had a hit in the tournament yet. I don't know if that's a good guy to have him put the ball in play. You got the bottom of the order here.
Well, obviously, the defense is going to tell you how they're going to defend. And so looking at this, you got Lopez covering with the right-handed hitter. You start the runner, and maybe that hole on the right side opens up. You go ahead and give him a chance to put a ball in play. He's probably going to get a fastball right here. It's 1-1 count. They're taking advantage. There's a little breaking pitch. Gets by him. He fouled it off, but it was a good pitch to drive to the right side. That's why guys put hit and runs on. Managers guess, and they hope, well, maybe a hole will open up, and something might happen.
And how did you feel about that? Your managers are also a guy struggling because of what you just said, makes him stay on the ball and do what you just described to go the other way. That's not a bad theory either for someone who's having a tough time putting the ball in play.
Yeah, I hated it. Most of the time they were wrong. You know, you get a feel when you're hitting at the plate, and you're like, okay, I'm starting to feel pretty good. And then you see the hit and run sign. And now all of a sudden, with a hit and run, you have to swing at whatever's thrown. You're not sitting there thinking, okay, I'm in a good count right now. I finally got a hit and count. Because usually when you're struggling, you're 0-1, you're 0-2, you're 1-2 all the time. So you can finally get a good count, and they throw a hit and run on you.
Full count now, 3-2 to Charlon Scope, and you just saw Francisco Rodriguez up in the bullpen, the new Mets closer at the back of the bullpen for Team Venezuela. Rod Delmonico knows that this is potentially one of your last and best opportunities to manufacture something if K-Rod's going to try to close it in the ninth rather.
Well, this will be interesting here. 3-2, 1 out with a catcher on first. Are you going to send him? And that's why he's stepping out right now to see what sign did we actually have on. Is he going to run here or what?
No, you run yourself out of an inning right here.
There he goes. A little excuse me bouncer to the vacated second baseman spot, and everybody's safe.
There you go. Oh my. Look, that's one of those. The second baseman is covered. Now, he didn't necessarily try to place it there, but the check swing, because the guy's running, this hole opens up and Lopez has to hurry. Even if he fields it clean, he doesn't have a play.
Wow.
The second error hung on Team Venezuela this afternoon. It puts runners at first and second. It brings Eugene Kingsale to the plate with one gone, and it draws a visit on the mound for Yoel Hernandez and a removal. They're not going to mess around. Team Venezuela goes to the bullpen. Carlos Vasquez on in relief. Left-hander Carlos Vasquez takes over on the mound in a bit of a jam. Runners at first and second with one gone. It's a 1-0 count to Eugene Kingsale. Again, what little major league veteran experience is in this Dutch lineup. It's right here with guys like Kingsale and Simon, who's in the hold in this situation.
Well, and I don't understand the defensive alignment with the first baseman playing in like he's going to bunt. He wants to bunt, let him bunt. You know, you've choked up, you've opened up the whole hole on the right side. You got the second baseman holding the runner at second, who's the catcher, who isn't going anywhere. And you got the first baseman, Cabrera, on the grass. Hit the ball on the right side, it's going through, and we're tying this game up. Oh, that was it, too.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Carlos Vasquez has made a couple of appearances in the World Baseball Classic thus far in the Pool D rounds for a total of just 1 inning. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 runners aboard. The Dutch down a run.
And the whole country of Venezuela is nervous.
Breaking ball that's popped up. Off the bag at first. Cabrera squeezes it for out number 2. Well, game 5, Netherlands versus the Dominican. Bottom of the 11th with the Dutch down 1-0. Sidney de Jong doubled. Eugene Kingsale scores. De Jong, Kingsale to third on a Carlos Marmol error. And Kingsale would end up scoring the game-winning run, as for the second time in 2 meetings, the Dutch knocked off the heavily favored Dominican Republic. Is there more Kingdom of Netherlands magic here this afternoon in Miami? Well, Luis Sojo isn't going to mess around, and you talk about giving the Dutch their due respect. They're going to make the move to K-Rod here. Vasquez gets his man. And Francisco Rodriguez takes over when we return. 2-1 Venezuela with 2 gone in the top of the 8th. 2 out, 2 on for Charnol Adriana, and he will have the decided chore of having to face one of the best in the big leagues. Last year with the Anaheim Angels, Francisco Rodriguez set a new major league record with 62 saves and 69 opportunities. He's looking to cool off this rally and then finish the 9th for Venezuela.
And that was his one pitch to hit, because
and that wasn't even a good one.
It wasn't good. It was down and away, perfectly painted. You want to hit his fastball, and he's going to try to get ahead early. Now he's got a strike, and now here comes the breaking ball, the changeup, and 2 different types of looks on the hook. Tough to hit.
Ooh, they spun that one over, threw it, hung it inside. You're right, your premier closer guys. Great fastball, great slider.
You might get another fastball here. I'm hacking. I doubt it, though. I bet he throws him the hook.
Paint. Right on the outside corner to make it 2-2.
Boy, he's looking hook right here. This is out or third. That's a corner pitch, tough pitch.
Look at all these people that showed up. 70,000.
Here's the 2-2. There's a breaking ball that's bounced to third. Mora grabs it and gets him. And the threat is extinguished in the 8th. To the bottom of the inning, Venezuela still up 2-1. Dennis Newman is the new pitcher for the Dutch, and we've talked about this a couple of times already, guys. Even though Venezuela has a 2-1 lead, their offense has been almost completely shut down, and if it hadn't been for that one pitch from Ponson to Miguel Cabrera, we might be looking at a 1-1 tie here late. This was one of the teams going as good as you could go in the first pool round of play. 347 through their first 4 games, but the Dutch has, oh my goodness. Jose Lopez has just gone deep. We'll shelve that discussion. Dennis Newman's first pitch in relief, and it's a 3-1 ball game.
Well, again, it shows the inexperience. Now, Newman, just a young player in the Red Sox organization. Late in the game, you want to make guys beat you the other way. He wants to take you deep, make you beat you the other way. Lopez went up there looking for one pitch, and he got it. A fastball in, and I'll tell you what, that is huge breathing room. Talked about it in his first at bat. He's the hottest hitter on this club, and he smoked this ball. No doubt about it. He's been swinging the bat. He had a big year last year offensively for the Mariners, and they're looking for him to really do big things in the middle of their order this year. He's off to a great start here in the WBC.
You know, again, talking to Bert Blyleven, some of these righties didn't like to come inside. Look at the reaction here from the Venezuelan. You're right, Harold. That's nice breathing room for K-Rod. But that is unusual late in the game. You see most, especially closers. But you get in a 1-run game or tie ball game, 8th, 9th inning. As Harold said, you want them to beat you. They're going to go the opposite way. Just miss with his location.
2 balls and no strikes to Ramon Hernandez. 3 hits for Team Venezuela this afternoon. Among them, actually all of them, a triple and 2 home runs. And good enough for a 3-1 lead here late. As Newman walks Hernandez on 4 pitches.
They've gone to the well quite a bit for Newman. You know, he pitched awful lot in Puerto Rico, and they've expected a lot from him.
Some of the changes. DeYoung stays in at catcher. Gene Kingsale moves into center field. Taking Kingsale's place in right is Dirk Van Klooster.
Now, as you get a good look at the conversation at the mound, one of my favorite things is you wonder what's happening at the mound. We'll talk about it, I guess, when we come back.
The Dutch go to the bullpen for Alexander Schmidt. We'll be right back. Now, fans of Team Venezuela feeling a little better about their chances after the Jose Lopez solo home run here in the bottom of the 8th. And the Dutch have gone to the bullpen once again for left-hander Alexander Schmidt, 23-year-old property of the Cincinnati Reds, who pitched in Class A Sarasota last season, 8-7 with a 3.87 ERA as a starter on the farm. We got a pinch runner at first base for Ramon Hernandez as Gerardo Parra takes over at first. Nobody out. The home run by Lopez led off the inning. And here's Cesar Izturis now.
Well, you've got your manufacturer guys up here for Soho. In this Izturis, he can bunt.
They've got it picked off. Parra was leaning. So Alex Schmidt helps himself with a little bit of the Andy Pettit over to first base, and there's one gone.
Talking to Bert Blyleven, he said he has a good move. Ooh, that's a cheap move. You get about 45. You get exactly 45 degrees.
You lefty, and you know it.
Well, he didn't balk because there was no balk called.
That's why Randall Simon had that conversation right before this perfectly executed rundown, by the way. But Simon went and talked to him and said, hey, throw over, give me a look. The other reason you do that is you want to see what that hitter is doing. Is he going to tip off if they're going to bunt or not? If you get the pick off, it's a double bonus. He balked.
Were you ever called on to pinch run and picked off on the first pitch you get out there for? That ever happened to you?
No.
It's got to be a bad feeling.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Well, how about come in and pinch run and then get picked off?
That's hang with him. 3 balls and no strikes.
I think that's what you said, isn't it?
Well,
oh, did you say? I thought you said leadoff walk. I'm sorry.
I didn't want to crush him like that.
I love that when that happens.
3-0 the count to Izturis.
It's 3-0 to Izturis.
3-1 the count to Izturis. And Smith misses the corner with a fastball, ball 4.
Well, it changes everything now. Turris can run on his own now, and they will not be butting him over with Andy Chavez. You hate to get picked off when the batter squares around to bunt. That just makes it even worse.
Dutch bullpen getting hot again. You got the right-hander, McKeel Van Kampen, and the drop-down guy, Leon Boyd, who's their closer. Sidearmer who worked with Kent Tekulve when the Dutch team assembled before the World Baseball Classic. 0-1 the count to Andy Chavez.
Yeah, they were working out at the Pirate Complex. You know, Burt Blyleven was a Pirate back when they were winning in the We Are Family days, even before that. But he and Tekulve obviously good friends, and he said, hey, if you got a sidearm guy, who better to go to than Kent Tekulve?
One ball and one strike to count to Andy Chavez.
Now, Al, obviously, this young man's a starter during the regular season, so that left-hander specialty stuff. How did you throw against left-handers when you were first starting off like he is at a young age?
Not very well. There's another that balk move. When he's mixing around balk move, you're allowed 45 degrees as a left-hander, and that's where the question comes in. And Masato Tomiyoshi, the first base umpire, maybe hasn't seen much of that in the Japan League. The hardest thing for lefty on lefty is establishing strikes on the inside part of the plate. Because look, left-handed pitcher got a breaking ball that's going away from the lefty. Most left-handed batters like the ball out over. They stay on the ball and go to left field, left center. If a left-handed pitcher can establish called strikes, not swinging strikes, but a cold strike inside, that opens up the outside part.
Got him.
Well, quick step.
He's got the quick step and a little bit of a slide step, and he's got a huge advantage if he can get away with that first move that he had. I mean, he's not giving much ground, Al.
Boy, he is pushing the envelope on the 45 degrees.
That's all.
No, that's
Is it any harder to read if you're the umpire because Smith's a short armor?
Well, for the case of what we're talking about, a balk here, you draw a line from where the center of the rubber is out toward the first base dugout. And you just see how far that right leg from the lefty falls beyond it.
There goes Turris, and that one nearly hits Chavez. Stolen base credited to Cesar Turris.
Now, you may be at home going, wow, he got a great jump. He got a great guess is what he did right there. When you have a pitcher that has a nice move like he does, and he's shown you the low slide step and the step over, and he's gone high and gave you that balk move, as soon as he goes high again, you're taking off. And if he throws over to first, you're trying to beat that second throw from the first baseman. He just got a good read, good jump, and took off.
Popped him up. DeCaster at second base. And there are two gone. Why can't I think of the guy? Cannot think of the left-hander, the short armor, the stopper for the Rockies the past couple of years who's changed uniforms. Fuentes, thank you.
Well, answer your point, Al didn't get into it as much, but as an umpire or as a base runner, I'm not looking at the arm as much as I am his legs, where he's stepping. So he can short arm it, long arm it, whatever he wants to do. I'm looking at his stride, and you started to talk about the 45-degree angle. So, so I'm helping fill in that little gap for Matt over here.
But I mean, even for his delivery, Smith's a big kid. This is one of the taller guys on the staff for the Dutch, and he comes out of your ear. He's a shot putter.
Mm-hmm. Now it affects you at the plate when you're hitting, because the ball just jumps on you. That you always hear a guy has a sneaky fastball. That's what they're talking about, because it comes out of the ear, and next thing you know, it's on you, and you don't have a chance to really read it. When the guy has a long arm and lets you go ahead and take that read, is it a fastball, is it a breaking ball, whatever. When it's a short arm, it's tough to pick up.
Yeah, I don't see him and Fuentes being similar, at least in angle. No, I mean, I know what you're saying, but Fuentes is a guy that really drops down. He's more low three-quarter. This guy's actually over the top, using his height.
2 balls and no strikes to Melvin Mora.
He reminds me of, not that
Chuck
because
Finley.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
They got the same number.
Yeah.
I was going to say, not because he's wearing his jersey, but he reminds you of Chuck Finley. And Finley was so difficult because he threw hard, but then he added that split. And when you have a short arm and you add the split, forget about it. You're going to have great success. So throw a split, Smith.
And Melvin Mora fouls that one away. It's 2-2. Mora with 7 runs batted in the World Baseball Classic. That ties him with Mexico's Adrian Gonzalez for the highest total thus far.
See, I've often wondered if you got a guy like, reminds you of Chuck Finley, why don't you contact Chuck Finley? Why wouldn't you do that if you were a young man? I'd reach out to him and say, what did you do? How did you? When you're 6'7", it's tough to gather your body.
You think he knows who Chuck Finley is?
Yeah.
That's into shallow center. DeCaster's there under it at the cutout to make the catch and retire the side. The Dutch have one last shot. Now down by 2. It's 3-1 Venezuela. Well, the winner of today's game will move on to play the winner of tonight's game, and those two teams will collide on Monday night. The loser of this one plays the loser of tonight's game on Sunday, tomorrow. And we are perhaps 3 outs away from determining half of those matchups as Venezuela leads Kingdom of Netherlands 3-1 here in the top of the ninth. Last licks for the Dutch as it's Randall Simon, Urendel DeCaster, and Brian Engelhardt against Francisco Rodriguez. Henry Blanco takes over behind the plate. And Marcos Scudero takes over at second base defensively for Venezuela.
Major first pitch hacker in Randall Simon. What does K-Rod do? Comes out with an excellent changeup, follows it up with another one.
That changeup he's throwing right now is as good a changeup as I've seen in Major League Baseball, period. Not just for him, I mean, period. It's a devastating pitch. When you throw 90s, you're able to throw 2 different types, 3 different types sometimes, curveballs, and then throw that changeup. Now, he said last year he went to the changeup a little bit more. He hadn't thrown it since '02. And that's one of the reasons you have that many pitches and you throw them all effectively, you're going to get 62 saves.
Well, and also, too, for Rodriguez, that changeup negates for left-handers. And normally you see a right-hander, fastball, then get put away pitcher, breaking ball. There you see a paint fastball on the corner just off the plate. Come back with this changeup right here. Gas.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
What's he throwing here?
I'd throw that changeup. You made him look silly 2 in a row. He barely fouled off a third.
He's got 3 options right now. He's got him really tied up. He can throw the fastball, the breaking ball, or the change.
Fastball, and Simon's a bit behind it. It's still 2-2. K-Rod came in the 8th and recorded the final out, stranding a pair of base runners. We were looking at this between innings, and we were curious about save opportunities that he was given of more than an inning last year among his record-setting 62. Here's the 2-2 first, swung on and missed. Only once last year did K-Rod pitch more than an inning, and it was against the Red Sox in the playoffs, a game he lost.
Just a little slider middle of the plate. See the tight spin on that. Sometimes a dangerous pitch from left-handed batters if you're a right-handed pitcher, because it goes into their sweet zone there, down and in.
Well, that's what I was saying. He throws 2 or 3 different types of breaking pitches, so you don't know which one's coming. But Matt, that is really interesting. One time, and in fairness, you know, the 2009 WBC Kingdom of Netherlands team is not the 2008 Red Sox. Here's the 1-0, a big swing and a miss by Urendel DeCaster. It's 1-1. Well, and I don't think in New York he'll have to do that either, because that's why you go out, you get a J.J. Putz, and you have the depth of that bullpen the Mets have now. He's not going to be called on to throw 2 innings to get a save.
And a base hit. That'll bring the tying run to the plate. And Brian Engelhardt has 2 of the Dutch 5 hits today.
Got a fastball, it runs in. It almost looks like it's coming out of a Hummer. You know, this ball comes right back. And what I mean by a Hummer is that pitching machine you used to hold your arm up and drop the ball in and go boom, and it just kind of hum right at you and hang up there to hit. What the ball look like right there?
Engelhart doubled in the second and singled in the fourth against starter Carlos Silva. As he swings and misses at a changeup, it's 0-1.
And what makes that changeup so difficult against a left-handed hitter? The way he sets up, his body is facing the left-hander right now, and when he delivers the pitch, it's to the opposite side. Very difficult to pick up, and the deception now is even greater because he's striding at you but throwing the ball away from you, and you have to try to figure out what spot can I pick that ball up with. That's why I like that changeup against the left.
Well, and to further that, a good changeup to any batter is an excellent pitch, but with K-Rod, this ball is dropping out almost like a split finger, dropping off the table.
Ball and 2 strikes.
What I'm seeing right now, maybe he's trying to get a good feel for it, but don't fall in love with it. If you show it too much, then it becomes a hittable pitch.
But make it a put away pitch, or like he did with Simon, to get into an at bat, knowing that you have a first ball fastball hacker, you get a free strike early in the count.
Got him.
It is filthy. I mean, he had him thinking change up. He threw him 3 in the at-bat. He saw him throw 3 to Simon, and then he busts him with the fastball on the black. It's not just for a strike, it's on the black.
It's perfect, perfect. The whole sequence is perfect. 2 changeups, slider, paint away. Unhittable.
Vince Roy drove in the lone Netherlands run back in the second. He represents the last chance for the Dutch this afternoon. And a swing and a miss, 0-1.
I have to be honest, I watched him throw in Toronto, and I was like, this is not the same guy that was in Anaheim. You know, that pitched for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, who are now Los Angeles Angels. But anyway, he looked different because he was erratic. He didn't challenge guys. He's challenging guys. His stuff is crisp. I know it's the beginning of the year, but he's a different pitcher already.
Breaking balls in for a strike. And now he's got Roy and the Netherlands in an 0-2 hole.
Been fun.
On the ground to third for Mora. And Venezuela has won this Pool 2 opener. A 3-1 victory over the Kingdom of Netherlands.
Well, no short of emotion for K-Rod. You see that patented get down, fist pump, look up to the sky. Big win to start a pool. The first game is important.
It's a big win. I tell you what, there is more pressure on these guys than it is when they're playing in the States on their teams in the big leagues, because you're representing your whole country, your whole island. Everything baseball is meant to your country, and it's almost like World Cup soccer. You lose, you may not be welcome home. There's a lot of pressure.
Well, Rod Delmonico's team will play the loser of tonight's nightcap between the U.S. and Puerto Rico. And for Venezuela, they'll take on the winner of tonight's game Monday night. We'll talk about the late game when we come back.